What's going on, everybody? GemMint here with today's new comic book day reviews, Wednesday, December 21st, and as usual, gonna go through this week's comics as spoiler-free as possible. Feeling a little under the weather, so forgive me if that's noticeable, but I'm gonna go through this week's comics. I read not as much as I would have liked to. There was some more on my list that I was like, you know what, I'm just not up to it, so I decided not to even read them. Before we jump into it, I am going live on Whatnot today at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, and we're dropping our Ninja Funk 2s, y'all. Homage to Super Mario Bros. 2. We got the trade dress and the virgins, and I also just got in the medals for our Pooh, Thugs and Honey, Pooh and Honey Come Up. Come check us out over on Whatnot. Like I said, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And let's start with this week's comics. With Image, we have the Department of Truth Wild Fictions special. So I read about 75% of this until I realized this is just the Sasquatch issues combined into one oversized volume. I think that lasted for about 2 or 3 issues. And that's what this reprints. Personally, I was a big fan of that arc. I know some people weren't. It's a lot of writing in a journal from the grandfather hunting down Sasquatch, but I think this is a cool little one-shot to get an idea of what the Department of Truth is all about. 2 Spawn books came out today. We're going to start with Gunslinger. We're on issue 15, Todd McFarlane and Brett Booth. First of all, the artwork in this is amazing, and I think it has some of the best dynamics in the Spawn books right now. You've got that whole like buddy cop dynamic with Javi, the Gunslinger Spawn, and his little protege, the kid that's been around since the first arc of this. So it's cool to see that kind of like continuing to blossom and bloom. He's going to be on his way hunting the people on his list, and he needs somebody that knows how to read and write. So that's the first thing. We get introduced to a cool new type of villain here who's going to try to stop Gunslinger from making that happen. So super strong issue. Again, art is on another level. And then you have Scorched, which is the second Spawn book. They're on issue 13. This one's by Sean Lewis, Steven Segovia, and Von Randall. Yeah, Von Randall. So this one is basically a She-Spawn, Medieval Spawn team up. She's trying to protect her daughter. She used to be Jessica Priest, so she was a human. She's trying to protect her daughter, going outside of Al Simmons. We get introduced to a new Spawn here, a Mandarin Spawn, so that's pretty cool. A lot of dope action, a lot of great artwork here as well, which is going to bring us over to Hitomi. We're on issue 3 by H.S. Tack, Isabella Mazzanti. This has been a great type of Ronin story. You have this child who's tagging along with a Ronin. She wants to learn the ways of the samurai. She's basically being trained by him. They end up in this village. The village has a little problem, very Usagi Yojimbo, where you have these murderers that are only killing men, so the child decides to disguise herself as a little boy, and they attack this problem for the town. So it's been kind of like that, an overall story, but each issue they've been traveling to a town and dealing with whatever problems there, and then moseying on to the next one. Junkyard Joe is here with issue 3, Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, Brad Anderson. Super touching, man. I like this story. You have this older gentleman who was with Junkyard Joe during the Vietnam War. He wrote the comic book strips for Junkyard Joe for years. He just stopped. He's recently widowed. He's living at home by himself. He's an old man. New neighbors moved in. They're kind of like fans, but he's dealing with the fact that the Junkyard Joe robot or whatever it is has tracked him down and is doing all his household things for him, basically trying to take care of him. So it's like very touching in that sense. It's almost like a companion for this guy who just lost his wife. Interested to see where they're taking this story. Which brings us on over to Chroma, issue 2. This is by Lorenzo De Felici. I really liked issue 1. The cover for issue 2 is dope. I feel like they built a lot of the story in issue 1, and we didn't really delve on as much of that in issue 2. It's kind of like, okay, you understand what's happening here. It's like Attack on Titan, but instead of titans, big lizard monsters. The humans had to seclude themselves in this town, voided of all color, because color is what attracts these monsters. They pissed off the lizard deity, and these are the consequences. So this was a pretty action-packed issue of traveling into the outside world of color and dealing with those outside dangers. I thought it was interesting enough, but like I said, it kind of just threw you into the action while they did a lot of world building in issue 1. We'll see where it goes with issue 3. The last one from Image, we have Donny Cates' Vanish, issue 4. He's joined by Ryan Stegman, J.P. Meyer, Sonia Obach, and John J. Hill. This book feels like a modernized version of a 90s Image comic book with more up-to-date writing and artwork and sprinkling in a little bit of the boys. Like, we're from this place where you have superpowered beings. In today's day and age, we look at them like superheroes, and this guy who has left that world is now fighting with his past. They're responsible for the death of his parents, so he's basically out here fighting and killing superheroes. Doesn't look too good from the outside looking in, but he knows who they really are. It sounds like the boys, but the comic reads nothing like that. It's just the fact that we're killing soups. Moving on over to Boom Studios, we have issue 11 out of 12 for Berserker. This is Keanu Reeves, Matt Kindt, Ron Garney, and Bill Crabtree. So learning more about what gave Unut his powers. We also learned something new about his powers that I don't really want to get into spoiler territory. I'm excited to see how this ends. I feel like they've given us a lot of how this person has been around for 80,000 years and has these powers, but we just don't really know who's responsible for it. So going to be interesting to see, especially with that twist at the end. Something is Killing the Children here with issue 27, James Tynion IV, Werther Deledra, and Miguel Muerto. I feel like we're kind of in a little bit of a lull. Not much happened in this issue. It felt like issue 26. Erica is licking her wounds. She's hiding out, trying to hide from Cutter, who's after her, and they need to help take down this monster. Although, now that I'm thinking about the issue, I'm not going to give it away. It's a big spoiler, but also has a big cliffhanger at the end. What happens when one of these monsters kills too many and gets too strong? And then there's kind of a cool twist that happens within that. So, okay, let me take it back. It felt similar, but they're moving it along here, ready to see where this arc goes and what's going to happen when we confront this thing at the end. Sticking with Boom, we have the final issue of Stuff of Nightmares, issue 4, R.L. Stine, A.L. Kaplan, and Roman Titov. I saw this one all the way through because I grew up on Goosebumps, kind of knew where it was heading with this modernized Frankenstein take. So that's kind of what we got here. I liked the narrator, their version of the Crypt Keeper that bookends these issues, and it was a cool little horror story. I would like to see more from R.L. Stine and Boom. And then the last one from Boom, we have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 103, Melissa Flores, Simona D. Gianfelice, and Raul Angulo. So picking up where we left off from last issue, Matt, the Green Ranger, is stuck on the moon with Rita Repulsa, who has now reincarnated herself, rebranded herself. Mistress Vile is her name. So they're trying to figure out how to get back to the moon to save the Green Ranger. Meanwhile, Billy and Lord Zed are trying to repair Lord Zed. And we get some more background in how him and Zordon go back. So that was kind of interesting. I'm glad I jumped back on Power Rangers, man. So issue 101 is a good jumping on point. And we're now on issue 103. There is a new Power Ranger, Matt, the Green Ranger, and Tommy is the White Ranger. So you have both the Green Ranger and the White Ranger on the playing field here. And before we jump on over to Marvel Comics, Comic Tom 101 is now in open enrollment for their January mystery mail call. Not only will you get comic books at random, but you'll also get an exclusive variant to Berserker issue 1 with cover art by the very talented Raph Grissetti. But that's not all. You'll also get a trade dress version of the Ken Lashley Thanos Death Notes. This is a Davis Rider Mellow Fellow exclusive, which they've teamed up with Comic Tom for the mystery mail call. As always, I'm sure Tom will be adding more exclusives and more value to this box as the month progresses, but make sure to hit ComicTom101.com right now and sign up for the mystery mail call. All right, guys, now on to Marvel Comics. We have Gold Goblin issue number 2. This is by Cantwell, Medina, and Fabuela. I'm really digging the Gold Goblin stuff. Like I said in the review on issue 1, you wouldn't think you would like it. It sounds kind of funny, the Gold Goblin, but it's been a deep story regarding Norman Osborn. What happened when the Sin Eater removed his sins? Yeah, he became good. He wasn't evil anymore, but he still has the memory. He still has the guilt. So not only does he need to figure out what happens with that, and he gets a bright idea with what happened to Ben Reilly, tying it into the whole dark web thing. You know, he wants to forget. Meanwhile, something happened to those sins. They didn't just disappear. Where'd the sins go? Where'd the poo go? The vaporize. So something happened to that sin. It went somewhere, and that's what they explore in this issue. But really touching, heartfelt stuff with the writing here with Norman Osborn and his regrets and how he grew up, and him even having flashbacks or being shown visions from his past, even his pet dog growing up. I don't want to give away too much. Great issue. Moving on to Alien issue 4, Philip Kennedy Johnson, Onita, and Nitro. So this was a pretty cool issue because you have these synths, and they've been setting up this arc where, okay, they're synths, but they're kind of like superheroes. They kind of have like superpowers. So this is the big issue where we get the battle between the synths and the aliens. Finally, you can see humans really go toe-to-toe with aliens. I mean, not humans, but humanoids. So it was a fun issue. It was definitely a different tone than the last volume and the prior issues were, because it kind of gets into this new territory of Alien. But I still dug it. Love what Philip Kennedy Johnson's doing with Alien. Bringing us on over to Wolverine, issue 28, Benjamin Percy. You have Rip and D. Armada. Yo, Beast. I know everybody is sick of Beast right now, but they're really playing him as this villain role. So we've seen him resurrect Wolverine, but not resurrecting him fully. He's basically a feral beast, no pun intended, that Beast uses as a weapon for X-Force, and we get caught up here, get caught on camera with an assassination attempt. So it was an interesting issue. I like how the island of Krakoa is kind of like, man, something ain't right here, and kind of pushing and moving some things around to try to help our boy Wolvie. Again, definitely not a great Wolverine run. This issue was pretty cool, but I would love to see a dedicated Wolverine series that has a cohesive story, but that's just not really what we're getting here. And I'm reading Sabretooth and the Exiles as well, because I'm a Wolverine Sabretooth fan. Issue 2's here. This one's by Lavalle, Kirk, and Barreto. Next stop, the Orcus Death Trap. I feel like this cover is an homage of the Uncanny, what is it, 238, or the Cap, Wolverine, Black Widow cover. Anyway, so this is basically Hellions and Sabretooth's miniseries that both ended, combined into one. I don't really like it. It's a lot of mutants locked up in prison kind of stuff. They suppressed Sabretooth's mutant ability, so he's not healing that good. He's not able to retract his claws, and basically trying to save imprisoned mutants. I don't think I'm going to continue with this run. But speaking of a run that I'm glad that I stuck with, we have Strange, issue 9 by Jed MacKay. He's joined by Ferreira, Poggi, and Tartaglia. I have really liked this whole run. Issue 8 was a huge letdown. It was the only book in the series I didn't really like, so I almost didn't even read this, but I flipped through it a little bit, and I was like, yo, this one looks good. Read it. It was dope. Clea's back, working with Doctor Strange. It's some really good storytelling here, because Doctor Strange, he did die, and he made a deal with death, so now he's the Harvestman, and they're not able to touch each other, kind of like a Hancock situation, where the closer they get, the worse it is. But awesome explosive energy throughout these pages. The artwork was amazing. Clea totally redeemed this book for me, and so glad to see her back in this issue. The writing between her and Stephen Strange is dope. Excellent. All right, guys, last one from Marvel. We have Spider-Man The Lost Hunt, issue number 2. This is by D. Mateus, Messias, Barbeau, Pebbles, and Peter. So really strong issue. I kind of like this series. It's a futuristic Elseworlds issue, tying it in with a Kraven story, but you have, and I don't even want to spoil this, because you have this new villain, but we kind of learn his lineage in this issue and how or who he's related to. So I thought that was pretty dope. A character that I think has been gone way too long. So cool to see that come back to fruition. Peter Parker is trying to go to therapy with Mary Jane. He keeps having these visions, and we learn what it is. It's essentially psychotic spiders is what it's described as, but poisoning his mind. So he's battling his mind. He doesn't have his Spider-Man powers, but still has to go toe-to-toe with some trained hunters, if you will. So really strong issue. I thought it was dope. I wanted to give pick of the week to one of those Marvel books, but at the end of the day, DC just had the better books, man. We have World's Finest, Batman Superman, issue 10. Mark Waid had 2 books out this week. He's joined by Mora and Bond Villain. This wraps up that whole Boy Thunder arc where he's being captured by Joker. Some of the sickest Joker stuff that I've read in a long time in the beginning of this comic. Beautiful artwork throughout this book. The art was on point, the writing was good, the characterization, and it's almost like Jason Todd redemption. But how is this Boy Thunder, this Superman from a parallel Earth, how is he gonna handle dealing with the Joker face to face after being tortured? Is he gonna take it too far? Is he gonna do the right thing? Have to wait and find out. Next one from Mark Waid is Batman vs. Robin, issue 4, joined by Azrar, Godowski, and Belair. So I really like this one. It almost read as this was going to be the end of the series. It's the end of the arc, but it looks like after Lazarus Island, we're going to be back continuing this run. Amazing issue. This almost got pick of the week. So battle between Bruce Wayne and Damian Wayne. The final battle between the devil Nezza. The cover of this issue is kind of a spoiler on how Batman is able to go head to head with the devil, but he does, and it plays out awesome, man. I thought it had exciting action scenes leading up to this Lazarus Island event, which I'm looking forward to. super solid arc and ending with this issue 4. Speaking of ending arcs, we have the dawn of the DCU. So this is Crisis on Infinite Earths issue 7, Joshua Williamson, but he's joined by a laundry list of creators. And I like how this cover kind of mirrors the Death of the Justice League cover, but it was all black. And it almost seems like it was supposed to be die cut or something, because check this out. So you have the front, same image here, and then on the back, it almost feels like it was just like a wrap. I don't know why they did it like that. So I did like the ending of this issue. I thought it was cool how they took our heroes and fought back against the darkness and the Dark Army. Kind of some touching stuff with Deathstroke. A little bit on the cheesy side, though. Kind of like, I don't know. You know how they have to end it some way. And sometimes it just kind of feels like, oh, that's all you had to do to end this multiverse, omniverse threatening event. But I did like it. A lot of these issues I felt confused during. There wasn't any confusion on what happened during this issue and the finale, so I thought it was well done, and they wrapped it up nice with a bow on top. I would like to give it a reread and see where it goes, so maybe one day in the future we'll do that, but for now, we're done with the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, which brings us on over to Nightwing, right? So he's the star of the show over there, and actually, all right, no spoilers. We're on issue 99 by Tom Taylor, Rendano, Felipe, and Lucas. So we have a power vacuum here with the death of Blockbuster. So who's going to step up? Maroni's not available. So we have the Zuckos, right? Mr. Zucco and his daughter, who we know is not really his daughter, who is the mayor of the city. Dick Grayson's, half-sister. Will she go bad? Will she join the family business? Or will Nightwing save the day? So don't really want to give away too much in this issue. They have this story of Tony Zucco robbing this bank for outlaws, if you will, trying to obtain something that is worth a lot of money so that it could put him in a position to run Bloodhaven. And a nice little tease at the end, one of those safety deposit boxes somebody set up for Dick Grayson, and we don't know what's inside. So looking forward to Nightwing issue 100, milestone issue, to see what happened. And then we're on to the gem of the week, y'all. My favorite comic book, and I think I'm as surprised as you are, man. GCPD, The Blue Wall, issue 3, got my pick of the week. This is by John Ridley, Stefano Raphael, Brad Anderson, and Rico Murakami. So you have these 3 new rookies on the GCPD, and bad stuff's happening to all of them. Stuff's happening bad internally, people are getting teased. Stuff is happening externally where you didn't shoot somebody because you were hesitant and you just kind of got lucky, but then when that happened again, it just came out that you're kind of froze up and made the Force look bad. And I like how they kind of look up to Renee Montoya, and she doesn't even know what she's doing. She's got this battle within herself and Two-Face. She's obsessed with him, or more so with taking him down, which is how Two-Face puts it. I love the interaction between her and Two-Face. Two-Face throughout this whole issue on how they're trying to tail him and how he kind of lets them know that he knows that they're following him. But some nice heartfelt stuff. No Batman whatsoever. It was just a straight up Gotham story with Two-Face in it, and I thought that they really killed it. That's all I got for this week's new comic book day reviews. Let me know what your favorites were in the comments down below. Catch you later on Whatnot. Stay minty fresh. Peace.